Hiya, Sean. Nice to see you. Happy Christmas and all that. And I guess you're
Absolutely.
you're entering Christmas in the right fashion when it comes to momentum, but also importantly injuries as well.
Yeah, we're beginning to get the group back together in its entirety. Still a few. Corky's making good progress. I've just been out there watching a game today in the brutal conditions it is, to be fair, today. But Corky's come through that pretty well. So he still needs a bit more football, but that's good for him. And Johan's out there as well, getting some more minutes in. So that's a good sign. A couple of the other lads played, but really just to keep topping up fitness to make sure they don't get re-injured. We're waiting on news on Dwight McNeil and Robbie. We're hopeful on Robbie for the Leeds game and possibly with Dwight as well. So we'll wait and see more news on them. But we're not thinking at this stage they're long term. So, like I said, the squad is coming back together. Results have gathered some pace with a good win against Wolves, of course. And generally the performances have been getting stronger. So, certainly things that we were hoping would come together are beginning to show signs of doing exactly that.
I just wondered in the wake of that win, that comfortable win as it was over Wolves, whether the headlines about referees were fine by you because it means you just go under the radar as usual.
Well, to be honest, the idea is that everyone has an opinion. That's fine. And their manager has a right to say what he wants to say in his fashion. I have my bits now and again, but I tended to want to focus on the performance. That was my main thing the other night, and I think it was a good performance. I thought it was a deserved win. It shows that we are capable even against very good sides. I think Wolves are a very good side. And actually, I must say, before the run of games we've just had, I don't think many people had us down for the points we've returned against Arsenal, Villa as well, who are doing really well, of course. A Wolves side that are a good side, Everton side that are a good side. So, to come out of that with the 8 points and unbeaten, I think is very pleasing just on the points alone told, but also the performances and the way we've gone about it. So, like I say, good signs of getting back to where we think we can be and challenging and being effective in games. We've got to keep working hard to keep doing that, of course.
And I imagine, for the strikers, just converting chances has been the problem so far. You start converting chances and suddenly the season starts looking differently because you were creating them, just not putting them away.
Yeah, well, like I said after the game, it's rare that we have kind of 25s and 30 chances, but we've often created very good chances, and I thought we did against Wolves. I thought we have created some good chances recently. A couple of dry games where we haven't, but generally speaking, we have. We look more effective in the final third, and I thought we did against Wolves, and on a different day. If we take the other chances we had, it becomes a more comfortable end to the game, whereas it's a bit frantic at the end. They get a late penalty and then a bit of overtime and a corner, which the referee seemed to love that one, and it's overtime and they let the corner come in just in case, just for a bit of fervour for everyone. Trust me, we don't love that. No manager loves that one, unless you try and score a goal, of course. So yeah, overall, quite pleased with that. Quite pleased with being more effective in the final third. We've got to continue with that balance. I thought defensively very strong again, and keep finding that balance in attack. And I think there's better and improved signs of that in this run of games that we've just had.
And in terms of Leeds coming up, so many compliments and so many people sort of big fans of what they do. But is it gung-ho or is it the beautiful game? What's the reality?
No, I'm not bothered about anything that they do other than trying to beat them. Opinion on football is for everyone, all concerned. My opinion is on ourselves, and whatever opinion make of Leeds from outside of our camp, it'll be ours looking at ways that we can go and play and win the game. We're not... there's a certain shift in a style there, of course, we know that, almost man-to-man across the pitch, almost in and out of possession kind of thing. But that has helped, sort of led to an up and down season so far for Leeds. And on a hot day they are hot, and not when they're not. Sorry. So, but I think the Premier League can be a bit like that anyway. Regardless of styles. It can be a bumpy ride in the Premier League, particularly when you've come out of the Championship. But overall, I think they'll be pleased where they sit. We've got to take on knowing they're a good side, knowing they've got some energy. Equally, knowing they've not been as strong as probably they'd like at set pieces, and we are strong at set pieces, so that's another important factor. So there's lots of different details in a performance, including the one that we're looking to give against Leeds, and we've got to get them details right.
But some coaches and some players are worried about Leeds running the legs off them. You don't have that concern with a Burnley team that can run as fast and as hard as they can, do you?
Well, our stats over the years have suggested that we're capable physically. We had a bit more of a challenge early season with the injuries and trying to get people fit and really fit, as I call it, Premier League fit. Statistically, we're often in amongst the front runners, of the season with our physical energy and our physical prowess. It doesn't just come down to that, but I think it's a helpful tool to have in a group of players when they're fully motivated and fully fit. So we're still getting there with some players, but we are getting stronger in that department without a doubt. A collective strength, not just individuals, but the whole group.
Final couple of points from me. A lot of talk about COVID and testing, and we know how the kind of machinery and the apparatus works at the training ground for you. There's a discrepancy between Premier League and outside the Premier League, notably in League One and League Two. Do things have to be evened up in terms of kind of player healthcare and safety?
Well, that's not my decision. I can't do anything about that. That's for the powers that be. We can only work with the Premier League the best we can. We are doing. Our players trying to be diligent. It's not easy. They have lives as well, outside of these training or this training venue. They do have private lives as well. I think we're just all trying to do the right thing. And if the powers that be can find a way of spreading that across football, then of course that's a good thing. But I think it's across life as well. People being diligent, as I'm sure they are trying to be. And it's tough at this time of the year for everyone, whether you've got protocols in place like we have or not. People want to share time with friends and family, of course, and loved ones. And it's not easy, but everyone's got to try and attempt to play their part when they can.
And I know you've kept your counsel pretty much on these kind of takeover talks. We're led to believe that one party's gone, leaving one, and the one party that have walked away have talked about a lack of communication. Does that surprise you?
Well, it's all hearsay, isn't it? I don't know anymore. So if you've got some facts to tell me, that'd be helpful. But
as far as I know, there's one deal left on the table, and the other people have walked away. So that's fairly factual. Have you been led to believe that anything's happening in terms of that kind of crystallising?
No, I've just been led to believe that I know nothing. So I'll just wait until I get told something, and then we'll move forward as we always do.
And in terms of January, you don't need a plan or a plan B because you don't know what's happening.
Well, the plan won't change that much in the sense that until I'm told different, then we just be diligent to what we've always tried to do, and that's align players that we think could help. It's always been a tough challenge, financially here. I don't know whether that would change if, of course, there is new owners. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But, the club's in a very healthy financial position. It has been for many, many years here. The mindset of the chairman and the board is a different issue. That's a different thing. But I've spoken for many months, if not the last couple of years, really, about stretching the finance of the club to make it make sense on the pitch. That's always been a challenge. But we'll see what changes if and when a new owner comes in. We'll see. At the moment, I still don't know. So watch this space. When I get told, I'm sure if this happens, I'll meet these people and see how they can take it forward. But until I'm told any different, I'm just sitting tight and waiting.
And just admiring that tree next to you, which Pete and Darren have done a great job in dressing this year. It's one of the better trees at Burnley. How does Christmas work for Burnley and the players? Do they get Christmas Day off this year with the kind of more of a gap between the Leeds game? Yeah,
firstly on the tree, I agree. Fantastic effort. Colour-coded as well, I'll have you know. Very nice. Makes a change.
It's gone a long way since the twinkly lights of sort of 3 or 4 years ago, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it took me 4 years to get them to pay for a new tree. So that's how, money can be at this place. And the second part of your question, I've forgotten. So let's stick with the tree. Beautiful. Look at that lovely tree.
Are the players getting Christmas Day off?
Oh, that was it.
On Sunday.
Do you know what? I think I was trying to remember. Yes is the answer. And I think it's my first Christmas Day off in 12 years, I think that's right. So I think with the extra day before the game, we think it was the right thing to do. A number of games coming up, so we've got to find the appropriate rest and recovery against the training schedule, of course, and against performances. So looking for that balance to make sure the players are full of energy, but also that mental side as well when they're clear and focused on the job at hand. So yes, they will get a day off on Christmas Day, and I hope they all enjoy it.
Top stuff. Thanks. Happy Christmas to you.
Yeah, and to you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Hi, Mandy, Primary Productions.
Hi, Sean. You have memories, of course, of playing Leeds in the Championship. How much do you think they've improved under Bielsa?
Well, I don't watch them every week, so I don't know how much the improvement is and measurable other than the fact that they're in the Premier League. So that's the first big improvement because you've got to get out the Championship and it's a tough division. And they're faring well in the Premier League so far. So there's obvious improvement there. The measurability of it will be for them to decide. For me, it's just another team, another game. Another team have earned the right to be in the Premier League. So we take them all seriously and we'll certainly be taking Leeds seriously.
Only Liverpool's games have produced more goals than Leeds so far this season. How do you prepare for a team like that? Because your defence are going to be tested, but at the same time, it gives you opportunities to attack as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're prepared too differently. You know, we found a consistent way of working with the team, and when it's working correctly, we know. You know, we've proven over the years we can be effective in the Premier League against many different styles. You know, Leeds is a different style again, but there's lots of different styles in the Premier League. You know, there's a lot of similarities as well, but different tempos, different ways of playing, different individuals, of course. And Leeds have got their style, and as you rightly said, it's, you know, they've been up and down with a lot of goals going in. They've scored a few goals as well, and set pieces at this time seem to be a challenge to them, which can happen. We've got to capitalise on all the right things, you know, and do all the right things we do to win a game, and that'll be our focus. We'll certainly make the players aware of Leeds, but we will be focusing on our performance and what we can do and what we're looking to achieve.
Chris Wood, of course, facing his old side. How much do you think he's improved since he joined?
Yeah, well, Charlie Taylor as well, you know, two players from Leeds, and obviously Bailey Peacock as well. And I think all them players have improved in different ways. Obviously, Bailey's been sitting behind Popey, but he's definitely improving. He's physically improving. He's bigger in his stature and how he's going about his business. Charlie Taylor, I thought the other night was excellent. And the more he plays forward, the more we encourage him to play forward. He seems to grow and improve constantly with that side of his game, and I think that's important. And defensively, we know he can defend. He's quick and he's strong. And Woody, well, his goals, you know, prove over time here, and you know, in top level football that he's capable. So, you know, them three out of Leeds all been good for us so far, and still doing so. You know, so we want them to continue, of course, continue developing, continue improving, and continue being effective.
That's all from me. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and yourself.
Thank you. Hi Dan, BBC Radio Lancashire.
Hello. Right, I've got an important question for you before we even begin. Is
That
the
means
old
it's
Christmas...
not, obviously. When you start off with that obviously means it's not.
We've started as we mean to go on here, have we?
Go on. What? No, I'm in fair to middling mood.
Is the old Christmas tree still in bin bags in the interview room next door? That's your mission to go and
I
find
did
out.
tell him it wouldn't be a good question, didn't I? I tried to warn him, and I was right. It was a poor question.
I cleared out for COVID, but I couldn't absolutely guarantee it 100% Dan.
Thanks. I'm just missing the players. It's as simple as that.
To be fair, Dan, you know yourself, we've gone big time, because look at that tree. It's actually far above our usual standards of Christmas trees. That's for sure.
There goes your January budget.
In the decos, I think that might get skinnied down. You know, next year when you think some of them decos have disappeared out the building. We'll see.
And a semi-serious question. How strange will it be for you to all be round the Christmas dinner table, share Dyche? Because I think Northampton's game's off as well, isn't it?
It is. It's the only... No, it's not a strange question. The reality is, the thing that it alters is usually we come in the evening. So all it is that I normally do, you know, the present thing in the morning with the family, and then a bit of breakfast, and then it's just an early dinner. So usually I'm on the road by 2:30. So that side of it is very pleasant for me and the family to just relax for a change, you know, and not have to rush off, spend a bit of time with the family, hopefully watch Home Alone like you do. And then, you know, just take it easy. But the thing is with it, I mean, I'm used to it now, but, you know, your mind's still focusing at the back of your mind rather on the game. You know, I will have thoughts on the game and the planning and the prep. On the other hand, it will be nice to just be around the family and chill out for a day on Christmas Day for the first time. I think, like I said, I'm pretty sure I checked the other day, I think it's 12 years, the last time I had a Christmas Day off. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be fair.
With you and your son both in the game now, is it kind of for his entire lifetime been part of it? Is this an abnormal Christmas Day?
Well, the thing is that the job does go into your private life. I try and keep it away from my private life, as everyone knows, or most people know. You know, in my house is not a single thing of anything to do with football. And my career, I never wanted that for the family. It's, you know, they have their own lives. It's not about my life. So that side of things is pretty good, apart from the obvious demands, the literal demands of me being away and travelling and games and stuff like that. And now Max is just in the fledgling sort of period of experiencing that with the first team at Northampton, and he's thoroughly enjoying it. It's getting used to the realities of that. And as you said, the games are called off, the Ipswich game, I think it was. It's called off Boxing Day. So, you know, there will be that side of it, but I will be obviously on the early shift coming up the road on Boxing Day, and Max will be going in training. So, yeah, I mean, the family are kind of used to it, but I do keep as much of it away from them as I possibly can. And we do try and focus on you know, Max enjoying what he's doing at the moment.
I know you always say you don't really enjoy achievements in your own career till probably the end of the season, or a chance to reflect if there's kind of a natural break. with Max having made his debut recently, does the same apply, or is Dad very separate to Sean Dyche, the football manager?
No, it's a different thing. I deliberately didn't go to the Crew game because I wanted, if he did get on, I wanted it to be about him. It's about him. It's not about me. And if I turn up, sometimes that makes a story for outside of his control. The difference was when he played down at Oxford. I got a heads up that he was starting, so that was different. You're a father at the end of the day. But not just that. Someone's asking me afterwards, proud of it. I'm just as proud as my daughter. My daughter's working hard at school. She's doing well. It's not about football. It's about two young people who we're trying to bring up as good people and do well for themselves. So I'm just as proud as her doing what she's doing as I am of Max being a footballer or attempting to be a footballer. He's got a long way to go yet, trust me. But it still is very good at 17 to be in a first-team squad and to have made your debut. I think that's a really powerful marker for him as a young man trying to achieve things.
Just in terms of the COVID situation, you've spoken a few times about, these players, they're not robots, they don't live at the training ground, they've got lives outside. Is that just like any of the rest of us? We could get this virus in the supermarket, or kids could come home and spread it. Are there those variables, those factors that you can't control that are just intrinsic in part of it, and the club can only do the best job that you can do?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, The Premier League, I think, have put in really clear guidelines to work from. I think we've done very well collectively. The people at the club as well, Doug and the club doctor and stuff, and Matt Williams and all the people who are pulling it all together. Obviously, we've got more used to that inside of this area, but outside of this area, they're still human beings. They're trying their best, like most people are, to try and do the right things, but they're still. You still got to, as long as you're allowed, of course. If you go shopping, you try and buy a present or whatever you got to do. You still got to put petrol in your car and touch that keypad and touch the door and try to remember to wash your hands and use the necessary cleaners. And so what I'm saying is that it's almost that weird implied thing that if you had a game against someone and it turns out one of their team have got COVID, that everyone's going to get COVID. Clearly, that's not the exact case, but of course there's a risk. But the point is they've got a risk when they go out and they go down the shops. They've still got to go shopping. They've still got to get their food. They've still got to get their presents. They've still got to try and live some form of a life, like everyone is trying to do, by the way. So that's the bit we can't govern. We can only advise. And I think it's fair to say it's not just the Premier League advice or our advice. There's plenty of advice out there across the country of what people are encouraged to be doing. So I think our players will play their part the best they can, and their families, and be diligent where they can, but they still have got to live their lives. They've still got to do the right things with their family at the right time, Christmas Day, all the rules that apply, but they've still got to do that. So we can only control as much as we can control. There's some things we can't.
And football-wise, do you think the players will be better prepared for the Christmas schedule, which we always talk about being really hectic and playing lots of games in a short space of time, because they've already been playing lots of games in short spaces of time? Or is there an impact generally on fitness of having all those miles already on the clock?
Yeah, I think it's a balanced view. I understand your point. More games and getting used to that, sort of the mentality and the body gets used to it. A lot of games is always a debate at Christmas. To be honest, the only thing I would say is we've got the game, 2 games in 3 days. I don't really see the point in that one when you think that there's no policing sort of schedule, there's no fans in the stadiums. I know there's TV, of course, and they rightly have their place because they put a lot of money into football. But sometimes you do wonder. You think I don't see when other teams are playing on other days. I don't really think that you need to be playing 2 games in 3 days. But the schedule's there. We've known about it for a while, so therefore the mind's focused and the body's ready to go.
Is this one of those periods where you look at the games and they're teams who are kind of in and around you rather than those superpowers that we've talked about so many times in terms of Leeds and Sheffield United and Fulham, not necessarily resource-wise, but in terms of where you're operating in the table?
Not really, because I was just saying before that the run that we've just had, when we went across the games of Everton, Arsenal, Villa, and then the last one against Wolves, and I think people were implying that we wouldn't get much from them games, if anything. And then all of a sudden you take 8 points and it looks different. So the league's not as... Statistically, the top superpowers are difficult to play against and to get points from. Everyone outside of them sort of usually 6. It can be 4 or 6, but the usual 6. Then you think, well, statistically, we've shown we can be effective and we can get points and we can get wins against them sides. It's not that you can't do it against the big six. It's just that it's more difficult, and it's a statistically proven thing that it is more difficult, or certainly for us it has been. So I think we're looking at a balanced view no matter who you're playing. I've said it many, many times, and it's because I believe it, is everyone's earned the right to be in the Premier League. That's why they're there. And if you're in the Premier League, you must be decent. It's simple as that. You can't be. People talk about sides that have had struggles in the Premier League and they say, oh, they're a bad side. I hear that said a lot. Impossible. Trust me, to get to the Premier League or be in the Premier League, if you're a really bad side, it's just impossible. You might have bad days, you might have a bad run, but it doesn't make you a bad side. So you've got to prepare properly for everyone and take everyone as serious as the next game. And we do. The focus has been very clear here from us as a staff and me as the manager through into the players that you've got to be ready for every game that we play, and we've got to go hard and make things happen rather than wait to them happen. That's certainly been the big message lately, is we want to take games on to make a result come our way, not just hope that it comes our way.
Thanking you.
Thanks, mate. Stay well. Have a good one.